Hello, my poor neglected YouTube subscribers. I'm Brin, and I haven't posted a video in like 6 weeks, so I hope you'll forgive me. But I've been spending that time moving and unpacking and getting settled into new routines and new commutes and, still settling into my new job, and it hasn't really left me a lot of time or opportunity to record videos. So I happen to have time and opportunity today, so I thought I would record probably a couple. I recorded one earlier that was a response to a post by Brin, which was on doubt in amongst trans people. And I thought it was a really good topic, so I wanted to respond to it. If the lighting during this video goes funky, I have to apologize for that, because unlike the Elton John song, the sun is not being quite kind today. And I have a large bank of windows in my living room, and it's causing all kinds of havoc with the lighting on the camera. So I'm going to be trying a couple different angles in my videos. So this is one option where none of the windows are visible, so it doesn't maybe cause giant white spots, which is all sort of technical stuff you don't care about. So, speaking of YouTube subscribers, I have almost 500 of you, which I think is really, really cool. So those of you who have already subscribed, thank you. Those of you who have not, I would love for you to subscribe so you can get my new videos when they do post. I promise I will make them more often than every 6 weeks. I have posted a few videos in the interim time on the bygender.net collaborative channel, which is bygender.net all spelled out, so bygender, D-O-T-N-E-T, here on YouTube, and I would recommend that you subscribe to that, as well as to the individual members of the channel. I have been somewhat lax in my posting duties as on my own channel, so but there are some more recent videos, and we've had some interesting discussions, and I think you guys would enjoy that. So please go over there and check that out. I'll put a link down in the show notes. And speaking of subscribing, please subscribe to Trans Labyrinth if you haven't already. Chances are if you subscribe to me, you've already subscribed to her, because she's awesome. Again, link down in the video show notes. So today's topic is brought to us by Formspring. Somebody anonymous posted, if you're still living as male some of the time, why do you take hormones? And this question comes up in various forms over and over again. And it's really sort of, at its essence, implying that bigender isn't real. Like, I'm either making it all up, or deluded, or not committed, or, something along the lines of, people have a particular understanding of what gender is in their mental framework, and I violate it over and over. So they're trying to figure out how to categorize me so that they can go about living their lives without, having to think about gender too much. That was somewhat uncharitable, the way that I just described that, but it's not the first time I've received this sort of sentiment. Having to defend, the identity that I've chosen in my life, or defend the way that I choose to live my life, because it is different from what somebody expects. And so, like I said, that's the least charitable way of understanding that question. And for all of those people who do think that way, I live as male sometimes, I live as female sometimes, and there is no perfect percentage where I know that, I can schedule, I'm going to be a woman, 35% of the time, and I'm going to be a man 65% of the time, and You know, there will be no variation, and you know that if you catch me on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will be in a skirt, and if you catch me every other day, I'll be in, you know, boy pants and boy shirt and everything else. It just doesn't work like that. I live the way that I live. So that's one way of answering the question. The more charitable way of asking the question, and the one that's actually, I think, the spirit in which it was asked, is why take the risk if you're living as a male, and since predominantly I'm living as a male at work, like my career is in my male life, so if I'm still living as a male, why take the risk of discovery by taking female hormones? You know, that would be my guess, because honestly, there's breast development, you know, as a result of estrogen, because estrogen has effects. And that's really the answer to the question. So why do I take hormones? To get the effects of hormones. I really wanted to look more feminine. I wanted my body to be more feminine. And I had a lot more dysphoria with my body as male-shaped than I do with it as female-shaped. I wanted breasts. I remember being in like health class or something, like when you're in 5th grade. I grew up in the Chicago area, and when I was in 5th grade, they took all of the kids to the Robert Crown Center, and they had a discussion about, you know, what's going to happen when puberty kicks in, and what you can expect, and, you know, some basic sex ed stuff. And then they separated the boys and the girls into different rooms. And I presume that the girls got a discussion that involved things like menstruation and, you know, maybe pregnancy or something like that, right? The boys had a lot more discussion about hair, height, build, weight type of stuff, and a few other particular to boy things. But one of the things that she mentioned, because it was a nurse who was, a female nurse who was giving us this presentation, one of the things she mentioned was something called gynecomastia, something like that, which afflicts a small percentage of boys when they reach puberty. And what it is they develop breasts. Usually they're not very large breasts, sometimes it's only one breast, but it's an imbalance in their hormones. You know, they're producing a certain amount of female hormone in addition to their male hormone, and it's causing them to develop breasts. Usually, given time, they'll sort of, the hormones will get straightened out and the breasts will go away. And I remember thinking, wow, that would be awesome. I look around the room and I see all these horrified faces on all these other boys, like, and I could just see them thinking, dear God, don't let it happen to me. And meanwhile, I'm screaming in my head, please, please let it happen to me, because it's what I felt matched my body map. It's what I wanted my body to look like. So, yeah, I wanted boobs. You know, and I think it's done pretty okay. I actually had a video a couple months ago complaining about, you know, how I didn't feel I was getting enough development, and then all of a sudden, development happened like crazy. So, but I'm quite happy with, you know, the development that I've had, and you know, I've developed some flare to my hips, and my butt changed shape. It's certainly more feminine looking now, not that it was entirely masculine before. But I'm very happy with the changes that my body has gone through, and so that's why I take the hormones. If somebody, I wore a sweater the other day that was probably just a little too tight because I didn't have, I wasn't bound down, and I don't bind yet. I don't have a binder. I don't know that it's necessary, but I wore a sweater that was a little bit tighter than what I usually wear, and there was definitely more curve visible than I usually allow at work. Nobody made a comment on it, but to be honest, the risk of somebody else finding out is worth the reward of me being happy. You know, I did this for my own happiness and my own sense of well-being. So, you know, I feel more me this way. So the risk outweighs, or the reward outweighs the risk. That's why I take hormones. And I can still pass as a male. So, you know, I kind of get to have the best of both worlds for a bigender person, I think. I think I passed really quite well as male or female. So, for those who are curious, and the question's been asked, and I kind of talked about it before, but the way that I hide them is with a tank top. So I always wear underneath my shirt a camisole tank top. One of these guys. You can find them in any store. But it also has inside, it's hard to tell, but it has this shelf bra, right? And it has just enough compression to sort of hold me down. And then I just wear a large t-shirt or large button-up shirt or a large sweater or something. And that's plenty sufficient to hide my curves. You know, it sort of smooths everything out and makes it makes me look sort of boxy and boyish. And of course, I always tie my hair back, or almost always tie my hair back like this. And I have a bit of makeup on, so it's not quite having the same effect, but my profile is really still quite masculine, so I can pass as a boy really well. So that's why, because I can get away with it, and it makes me happy. I hope that answers the question. And I know I was somewhat snide and snarky before, but I've been asked this question multiple times, and sometimes it really is in the form of an attack of, you know, why don't you just admit that you're a woman? Why don't you just admit that you're transsexual and transition full-time? Or, you know, if you're not willing to commit full-time, then you're not really a woman, so just give it up and go back to living as a man. Or, you know, just all of this assumption that other people get to dictate my identity and how I live my life, and the fact is they don't. The one lesson that I've learned going through this transition process is that the only person who can create and set my identity is me. And I don't have to defend myself to anybody, and I don't have to justify myself to anybody. So I get a little defensive and bitter about being asked multiple times. And I realized halfway through that first diatribe that they were probably just asking why take the risk. And it's because the reward is better. So yeah, that's what I have for this week. Oh! So a really wonderful thing has happened. And it's still in working out the details, but if you are near New Haven, Connecticut, November 5th through 15th, Yale is having Trans Awareness Week, and they have invited me to come out and speak or do something or be there. I'm not entirely sure what they want, but I've never been asked to go anywhere to speak before, so I think that's really, really cool. And to be asked to go to Yale is even awesomer. But we are still trying to work out the details. It may not pan out. I really want it to. So once that gets straightened out, then I'll give you real details. But if you're in the New Haven, Connecticut area, it's well worth checking out whether or not I'm there. So yeah, I will give you details as we get closer. And I think that's all. But yeah, I was really excited. So I got invited, and it was really cool. So we'll see if I can go. Yeah, so until next time, love you all. Thank you.